wait to get some of the faces.
Okay.
Okay. Chapter 18. And boys and girls, go ahead and get out your dry erase markers and boards. While you're getting those out, I'm going to go ahead and read a quote to you, and then you can try and decide who said this. You did promise, Powhatan, what yours should be his, and be the like to you. You called him father, being in his land a stranger, and by the same reason, so must I do you. And fear you here, I should call you father. And fear you here, I should call you father. I tell you then, I will, and you shall call me child. And so I will forever and ever be your countryman. So who do you think said that? Pocahontas. Now, she was quoted, though. And in that entry, who quoted her?
Captain John.
Captain John Smith. Very good. Okay, so when I lived on the streets of London, I was a loner. Who said that? Sam. Very good. It was me against the world. But coming here to Jamestown has changed me. I have learned to depend on others, especially Reverend Hunt, Captain Smith, and even Richard. I have learned the importance of standing together, of cooperating. My circle has become bigger. Now this fire has changed all of us. Our houses and our food, even our blankets and extra clothing are gone. And it has turned cold, bone-chilling winter cold. And yet, we have not all starved or frozen to death. Instead, our circle has become bigger. The day after the fire, Pocahontas comes again with several men from her tribe. They have seen the smoke and are here to see if we're all right. Pocahontas runs to where Captain Smith's cabin used to be. I follow her. She stands among the ashes, bends down, and sifts through a pile of burnt wood. Then she stands and looks at me. Her eyes brim with tears. It's all gone, she says. Captain Smith's house, his bed, his mirror, his beard-cutting knife, all gone. I nod. She blinks, and tears run down her cheeks. She wipes them away quickly. Captain Smith is now my brother, my countryman. My father will send gifts to help. She says it with such authority. That reminded she's not just a little girl, but a princess. The Powhatan people, whom we have at times considered our enemies, now treat us as their own. They bring us deer skins and bear furs to keep us warm. And every few days, they come in canoes laden with meat and bread and corn as gifts. Now, I want you to stop and consider the word laden. Write a synonym on your dry erase. What do you think laden means? You may need to reread the sentence to get some clues. Bottom of page 137. Every few days, they come in canoes laden with meat and bread and corn as gifts. Very good. Got it. Excellent. Yes. Awesome. Another word for it. Very good. Yep. Nailed it. Good, Summer. Perfect, Sydney. Yep. That's the food. So it's blank of the food. Very good, Caroline. Okay, Caroline, show the class yours. Ethan, show the class yours. Another word for laden is?
Loaded.
Another word for laden is?
Filled.
Very good. We start to rebuild right away. With everyone working hard. We make the fort bigger, giving it 3 new walls where the one wall fell down, and making it 5-sided. We begin again to build houses. January stretches into February, and it turns even colder. The night air sucks the warmth from our bones as we try to sleep in tents made from the ship's sails. Without the skins and furs from the Powhatans, we would all freeze. As it is, we sometimes awake in the morning to find one of our men, the oldest, the weakest, and sickest among us, frozen in his bed. And once again, digging graves becomes one of our regular chores. We make a very interesting trade. We send Thomas Savage to Werawakamoko to live, and Chief Powhatan sends his servant boy, Namontack, to live with us. Our circles widen even more, and I think it's a good way to live. We are standing on many legs now, together with the Powhatans. I think of the centipedes that used to crawl over my bed last summer. And you know what? I think we're like them, with so many legs. A centipede does not topple over in a storm. Namontack, our new tent mate, is 14 years old, or 14 returns of the leaf, as he puts it. Returns of the leaf means he was born in what season?
Autumn.
Fall or autumn. Excellent, right? And then if you're born in the winter, then you would say
Return
what?
of the falling stars.
Yeah, very good. Return of the falling stars. Exactly. Very good. I love that poetry. Because he is a servant, he wears no copper or pearls. In fact, he wears no mantle, even in the cold weather. Only leggings and a breechcloth. And what do we call our breechcloth? Our underwear, yeah. And then the breechcloth is like our leggings or our jeans that goes over us. Namontack has bright eyes and a quick smile. He's taller than I am and strong looking too. I certainly wouldn't want to race him. I'm sure he'd beat me by a mile. Reverend Hunt says it's good that Namontack has come to live with us. The Reverend has been impatient to win the souls of the natives for Christ. We will teach the boy English, Reverend Hunt says, and then I will tell him the good news of Christ, and he will bring that message to his people. And so Reverend Hunt spends each morning teaching Namontack a few English words. Namontack teaches me more Algonquin words as we work alongside each other with the house building, and I'm getting much better at the language. And one day we are splitting clapboard, and he shakes his head. Our houses are better, he says in Algonquian. He has been telling me that almost daily. Things are better at his home, so I'm not surprised. We do not take big trees down to build our houses. He goes on to tell me how their houses are built with frames made of thin saplings. And what are saplings? The younger trees, which the branches or the made trunk are much easier to bend. Yeah. The walls and roofs are made of mats woven from rushes. He says they are much warmer than our drafty houses. I try to imagine his village, Werawakamoko, and hope soon I'll be allowed on one of Captain Smith's exploration trips so that I can see an Indian village for myself. Following along, please, on page 139, lower middle of 139. Namontack shakes his head again and frowns. Our tribe is better than your tribe. Your tribe has no women. I do not understand why Chief Powhatan brought you into the Powhatan Empire. A tribe with no women and children is not worth much. My jaw drops. Us? In a Powhatan Empire? I ask in my halting Algonquin. Yes, Namontack says, with the patience one uses when explaining something to a small child. Captain Smith was adopted into our tribe. He became a son of Chief Powhatan. Captain Smith is your ruler, your werewolves, and so now your tribe belongs to Chief Powhatan. You are the Powhatan people. What happens to one of us happens to all of us. That is why we took care of you after the fire. Captain Smith adopted? I squeak. Namontack nods. He died as an Englishman and came back to life as a Powhatan man. I picture Captain Smith, his head held down on that rock with men ready to bash his brains out. Or were they? How's that written? What do we call that?
Italics.
Good. And why is it written like that?
Because he's thinking.
Yeah, very good. It's kind of like the process going through in his mind. Pocahontas make Captain Smith know death? I struggled to find the words to ask my question. Yes, yes, Namontack says, grinning. I am relieved. Okay, so they really did almost kill Captain Smith. But then Namontack says, Pocahontas was perfect at the ceremony. Chief Powhatan chose her to save Captain Smith because she is his favorite among all of his daughters.
She's the little girl that saved him.
Yes, exactly. I buried my face in my hands. It was theater, a ritual. They were acting out a death and rebirth, and Pocahontas was all part of an act. I know. Can you believe it? I know.
They weren't actually going to
Namontack asked me, what is wrong? Why am I holding my head in my hands? I just tell him I'm tired. Now it all makes sense. The gifts of food and animal furs, the sudden peace between us. Chief Powhatan is taking care of us because he considers us one of his tribes. If it were just me, hey, I'd be happy with the arrangement. It means survival and peace. It means an end to the bloodshed between our settlers and the Powhatans. But I know these gentlemen, and I know they have no interest in being the subjects of a man they just consider a lowly savage. I also know that President Ratcliffe would be quite surprised to find out that Chief Powhatan thinks Captain Smith is our real ruler. My hope is that with no one to explain it to them, the gentleman simply won't find out that Powhatan considers us his subjects. Now, do you think the gentleman will find out?
Yes.
Yeah,
probably.
Well, think about it. Who knows the language?
Wait.
Only two.
Captain Smith.
Only two people, Captain Smith and who else?
That's right.
And neither one of them are going to tell the gentleman.
Yeah.
So will they find? Is there a likelihood they'll find out? Maybe not as likely.
Yeah.
Right?
That's probably why they're going to get.
No. That changed. Things changed. Yeah. Don't get too carried away with the questions for the next chapter yet. I shouldn't have put this up yet. Okay. So by spring we have dug a well for clean, fresh water. We have also built enough houses for everyone and a new church for Reverend Hunt to hold our daily services. Captain Newport's ship is again loaded with rocks that we hope contain gold. Will they?
No.
I have not totally given up on my dream of riches from this new world, but those hopes have certainly dimmed. The ship also carries 3 new passengers. Master Wingfield and Master Archer are being sent back to England in
Dishonor.
Is that good?
Yes.
Yeah. And Namontack is going to England so that he can come back and tell Chief Powhatan all about it. Isn't that crazy? Namontack shows me a stick Chief Powhatan has given him. I will count the people and make marks on the stick, he says. But listen, listen to what he's going to do. I'll be able to tell Chief Powhatan how many people there are in your land. Do you think that's feasible?
No.
Why not?
Because there's probably so
Because
many
there's so many, exactly, yeah. I laugh remembering the teeming streets of London with carriages and horses and people and hogs all vying for space on the cobblestones. I think of Namontack walking along the docks, the same docks I left so many months ago, and seeing our world for the first time. And I wonder what he will think of St. Paul's Church with its pinnacles of tower rising high as the Virginia trees, or the rows and rows of the wattle and daub houses with gangs of dirty children playing out front. How the English will stare at him with his deerskin breechcloth and bare chest. I think he'll need many sticks to count all of the people in England. But I don't tell him so. I just say goodbye and have a safe voyage. The summer of 1608 is much better than the summer of 1607. We now have fresh water from our well, houses for everyone instead of tents, and peace with the natives. Captain Smith continues our trading, so food is plentiful. Still, a sickness comes upon us. We now call it the summer sickness, and many of our men are too weak to work. There are the usual conjectures about what it can be, the usual suspicion that there is a Spanish spy among us who is slipping ratsbane into our food and drink. But Reverend Hunt says he thinks it has something to do with the mosquitoes. We get sick as soon as they start to buzz and bite. Boys and girls, go back to the first word, big word in that paragraph. There are the usual conjectures, and they go on to discuss whether it's rat poisoning or a mosquito illness. So using the context clues, write down a synonym for conjectures. What do you think conjectures means? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, good. Oh, really good. Thoughts, ideas, talks. The word that came to my mind, opinions or speculations. The usual.
Plans.
No, like, what do you think it is? Well, I don't know. I think it's this. What do you think? Conjectures. Kind of everyone throwing in their ideas.
Like
and
a
maybe
meeting.
talking about it. Their what?
Like a meeting.
It could be, but not necessarily. You could have a conjecture all on your own. So it can be independent or it can be talking together. Okay, so one day while Captain Smith is away on exploration trip up the river, President Ratcliffe makes a decision that causes him his presidency. He decides he wants a large house in the woods, a house befitting a president, and that the lot of us, hot, itchy, feverish men and boys, will build it for him. He forces us to work with the threat of whipping if we refuse. By the time Captain Smith returns a week later and finds out what's going on, we are angry as a nest of hornets.
Oh, okay.
He's worse than Wingfield, Henry shouts. He's been eating more than his share of stores and lying idle, while we sweat and faint in the heat, Nathaniel complains. He's unfit to be president, John Layden declares. There is more angry discussion, and by the end of the day it's decided. Captain Ratcliffe will no longer be our president. This is really changing tides in the way the story's going now, right? Yeah. All these gentlemen have taken turns, and none of them were fit to be president. And now, think about how the story shifts. He will be sent back to England with the next supply ship. Then the debate begins about who should be our new president. All right, well, it must be a man who cares about the whole colony, not just himself and his friends. And they want someone who's fair and willing to do his share of work, not sit idly giving orders. They want someone who has been here since the beginning, who knows about how to survive in Virginia. Is anyone coming to mind, boys and girls? When they make their choice, I am amazed and proud. Captain John Smith is our new president. All right, now that's the end of chapter 18. Chapter 19, I'd like you to read on your own. If it helps, you can read the questions first. Some of these lead in from chapter 18 into 19 as you were recognizing. And it's almost time for lunch, so we'll begin as soon as we return. Okay?